Hi, my name is Tej Singh, and today I'm interviewing Ed O'Keefe, the Senior Vice President of Premium Content at CNN.
Good to be with you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
So, just for our audience, the way the interview will be broken up is that we have questions about CNN and the different verticals, but then it's also, so you would know, our key demographic is high schoolers, and so the millennials and Gen Z, and we can inspire them about how your story has been, and so hopefully they can follow in your footsteps someday.
Sounds good. All right.
So, to start off about CNN, what are some different platforms you're investing in? And obviously, you have the CNN Money vertical and a lot of different verticals like CNN Politics. And so, what's the goal in that type of distribution model or the content you're just creating?
Well, so the goal is to go where the audience is. I mean, your generation, high schoolers, Gen X, Gen Z, millennials, they don't consume news in the traditional way that the previous generations have. We still have an extraordinarily robust linear television operation in CNN, CNN International, our sister network HLN, as well as the airport network. But we also recognize that in the next generation, news will be consumed on Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Kick, Line. And so we are making a conscientious effort to not just take our television content and put it on those platforms, but to actually try to understand the audience, to go to those places and create content that is relevant, authentic, and has a voice that hopefully explains the news in a way that that generation living on social, growing up on mobile, will enjoy.
Yeah, and like you said, so each platform has its own nuances. Like you present the story differently on Snapchat, just the way the graphics are, or the creative is than on a regular website. Are there any platforms you're excited about right now, or that CNN is investing heavily in?
Well, I mean, my history is I was 12 years at ABC News, and then I was 2 years at a startup, Now This News, right? And Now This is, I mean, it was built on mobile and social. I mean, our whole proposition was that you had to go to the audience and to create content in the environment of Facebook, Instagram, Vine when it existed, Twitter, Snapchat, etc. And I think that what's fascinating about it is it's sort of the cableization of the internet, if you will, right? If you think to the founding of CNN, it was a crazy idea. I mean, it's hard to imagine, but in 1980, which was only 7 years ago, the networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, were dominant. They 30, 40 million viewers a night watched the evening news.
Because that's all there was.
Exactly, and 24/7 news on cable was an insane idea.
You reminded me of Anchorman, right? Did you watch?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
right. Amazing.
Exactly, and so what's happened now is the internet is that disruption, and social platforms are the medium or the channels, if you will. So in the same way that HBO or ESPN or CNN has totally different programming, so does Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. And we have to recognize how to program on those platforms, or we won't be relevant to you.
Yeah, and I was really interesting. I was looking at the Now This page maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, the web page, and they didn't have a web page. It was just the different links to different verticals, the different platforms, which is interesting.
Yes, I mean, well, to me, bringing it to CNN is a 37-year-old startup, right? What's interesting about places like Now This is they get to start from scratch, from the ground up in 2012. What made CNN unique in 1980 is that they were able to start from the ground up without any of the holdbacks of a network model, right? So what we have to do is to act like a startup. The best times for CNN are when we combine media and technology, right? It predates you, but one of the moments that was seminal in my life was watching the first Iraq War unfold live on CNN.
What is Iraq War?
Yeah, well, there was a sequel. The first Iraq War, it was fascinating because for the first time you could see it. You could watch Bernard Shaw in a hotel in Baghdad as bombs were falling. And that was the combination of journalistic guts You know, people who were willing to go to very dangerous places and risk their life to show you what was happening. And technology, I mean, believe it or not, satellite technology was so new at that time that it was what enabled the broadcast to be live. It's now commonplace, but these are the advancements that take society to the next great technological breakthrough.
And speaking of journalistic guts and technology, I heard you're announcing something at South by Southwest. Any hints? I'll try to be a journalist here.
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's good. I can't give it away,
okay.
but I admire the effort.
Okay. And then, so speaking of the younger demo, since our audience is mostly high schoolers, what was your high school experience like? Where were you as a high schooler?
I went to public school my entire life. I grew up in Grand Forks, North Dakota, which is a town of about 60,000. We've got a university there that has about another 10,000, and we're right on the border of Minnesota. It was a pretty small town. I didn't go to college for journalism. In high school, I actually I hosted a radio talk show called Back Talk, which was a great experience.
It was streamed live over Spotify, right?
Right, exactly. That's exactly our distribution model. Yeah. I remember the first time that I had any sort of news experience. It was a talk show. It was, I was 15, and we would talk about issues on the radio relevant to 15-year-olds in 1994, right? And then in '96, the Atlanta Olympics bombing happened while we were on air, and there was no one else around. I mean, we were the ones that had to report the news. And I remember getting a call from the station owner saying, "You get fill the air and report the news until our regular anchors get there." I mean, I was 18 in 1996. So an 18-year-old with no experience whatsoever in news, live on air, reporting the bombing of the Olympics in Atlanta.
And so, and a lot of our audience might be interested in this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how strict were your parents? Because a lot of times kids think that our parents are very strict. Do you think that, looking back, would you have done something differently? Would you have spent more time in school, less time in school, or done certain extracurricular activities or projects that would have lended yourself?
I'm from the Midwest. It was too cold to go make trouble most of the year. It was a very community-oriented place where I grew up. I mean, I knew all my friends were my neighbors, and we all went to public school together. The kids I went to elementary school with were the kids I went to middle school with and high school with, and a lot of people stay around the area for college.
It's hard to get out of trouble at that type of
I feel like if I could go back in time, I would have probably tried to write more. I feel like every job I've ever had in my entire life, it's been imperative that I knew how to communicate. And it doesn't matter whether I'm writing a radio script, as I did when I was 15, or communicating via email or text now. You have to know how to communicate. You have to know how to represent yourself and your ideas. And I didn't study it necessarily, but I'd probably spend more time writing and being respectful of the ability to communicate.
Same today. The kids today, for them, physical writing, like I go to an online high school, so I don't very rarely do I actually write with their kids. It's a different take on this subject.
Well, and knowing how to communicate to whom you're talking.
Yeah,
right?
General writing, yeah.
Like I communicate now with the president of CNN. He's a very busy man. He's probably not going to read beyond the first 2 lines, right? So I have to make my point crisply and succinctly and clearly, because if I don't, he's not going to read it, and he's not going to listen to me, he's not going to trust me. And it's been true, like applying to college and communicating in college with my professors or getting a job. It was all about my ability to connect and communicate.
Makes sense. In the future, it's going to be how do you communicate via emojis? Like, it's so limited, right? It's going to go.
Which I find fascinating. That's what attracted me to a place like Now This. I find this period of media disruption fascinating. I think it is a fantastic time to be a journalist. You are able to experiment and explore in ways that you couldn't when I was growing up. I mean, think about what you're doing right now. You're in high school, you're at the headquarters of CNN and interviewing me, which is not particularly notable, but you're able to put it on YouTube or put it on the Huffington Post or put it on Entrepreneur Magazine. You have outlets that previous generations didn't. If you want to express I say to people all the time, high schoolers, college students, journalism students in master's programs, if you don't have a body of work that represents what you believe, your authenticity, then I can't hire you because there's no excuse. You should have a YouTube channel. You should have a Medium account. You should be on Twitter. You should be, you should be expressing yourself. Look, if people will tell you throughout your life that you learn more in failure than success. Yeah. I will tell you it's not fun to fail. Yeah. I have failed at things, and it's never easy. But that statement is true. It's better to try and fail than to never try at all. And you will learn more in those experiences, as difficult as they can be in the moment, than you will if you walk into what is an immediate success. Yeah, it's not bad to have an immediate success.
Who doesn't want it?
It wouldn't be awful.
In today's society, it's really easy, right? With Kim Kardashian or like the Kylie Jenners of this world.
It's personal brand. I mean, that's the flip side of this incredibly creative and inventive time, is that, anybody can be a celebrity, so nobody's a celebrity. Yeah, it's odd.
Everyone calls himself an influencer, but what is an influencer, right? It's like
I think it's amazing to me to see the persistent power of a medium like television at the same time that these incredibly disruptive social platforms become so big and so influential in people's lives. I mean, in a way, it's almost interconnectedness. Twitter probably isn't as powerful without CNN. Yeah. And that took a while. Right, with a symbiotic relationship.
And even now, some political figures aren't that powerful without Twitter, or it's like everyone needs a medium to reach the audience. Right now, I think Twitter and Facebook and even CNN or whatever are providing that distribution channel for even individual people to whatever. So
I mean, I think we've arguably just elected our first social cable president. Yeah, I mean, the connection could not be more clear, and I think it's an interesting time for people in high school or college to think about what that means, because everything you're putting out there on those social platforms will follow you. Yeah. And another thing that's sort of interesting is, in my life, which wasn't that long ago that I was graduating from high school and going to college, I left North Dakota, and my friends there I had to communicate with when I went home. Now I'm connected to them via Facebook. It sounds so old of me to say, but you never lose contact with people throughout your life, even though you might not be that close to them. And I think that's sort of an interesting thing to think about when you think about identity and brand and, am I the person I am, or am I the person I present on Facebook? Yeah.
So let's go to a couple of fun questions.
Last final questions?
Yeah.
Please, go ahead.
Rapid fire. Would you rather have one wish granted today or 3 in 10 years?
Oh, I'd say 3 in 10 years, because I'd be wiser and I'd know what to put them on.
What's your favorite podcast other than the Axe Files?
Oh, other than the Axe Files. Okay, I like WTF with Mark Maron. I love This American Life. I obviously am a devotee of Axe Files. I love podcasts in general, right? Because it's radio, and I love that.
Favorite 90s jam?
Oh, favorite 90s jam. Good God. If I could name a film, I'm more into film than I am into music.
What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is The Godfather. Okay. I had a professor in college once that opened his class, and he said, "I'm going to begin by saying everything you need to know in life you can learn, and they took this very dramatic pause, and I thought, oh my God, we're going to learn like the secret of life
Yeah.
in The Godfather. And then he went and he proceeded through the entire rest of the course to connect every single problem to The Godfather. Power, love, hate, envy, jealousy, it's all there.
Would you rather live 1 week in the past or 1 week in the future?
Oh, I lived 1 week in the past. I'd want to meet Abraham Lincoln.
Okay, that answers my question.
Oh,
if you could
okay.
interview anyone on CNN from the past, who would be Abraham Lincoln?
Hey, I don't think it'd be a particularly good interview, but I would definitely.
Would it be in black and white? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, but I guess I'd probably freak him out with the cameras, right? I'd be back in time, and I would like to meet Lincoln, Grant, Roosevelt, Teddy, or Franklin.
One of your favorite books is it's on Ulysses S.
It's a great book. He writes a phenomenal memoir.
If you could trade lives with anyone for a day, who would it be?
I could trade lives with anybody for a day.
It's interesting because
And
when I used to do
past, present, or future, like
either
now?
past or present, it's interesting because before November 7th, almost everyone said a certain type of, the most powerful man in the U.S. But after November 7th, very few people say I want to trade lives with that person.
I would trade lives with like an astronaut or somebody who I would love to travel in space, and I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime. Would you want to go with
anyone? Like if you could choose a couple friends, would you?
Well, I'd take my wife and my kids. But if maybe Lincoln would want to come along for the ride.
Yeah.
If we're just breaking the time-space continuum here, let's just go for it.
Yeah. And last but not least, I think you might want to take a pass on this. Who's your favorite anchor?
Who's my favorite anchor?
Or your favorite show on CNN?
Well, I mean, when I first started, I worked with Peter James, and he was remarkable. And that was I was sort of at the time that there were these three titans in the evening news. Again, I know it sounds antiquated now, but
it's fine. I still know what his CD is. I still know
it was amazing. I mean, I have great respect for Jake Tapper and Anderson Cooper and all of the folks that we have across CNN. But there was something sort of mythical about these anchors that they just had this gravitas. And I mean, I didn't ever obviously work with him, but Walter Cronkite. You watch these clips and such, and you think, wow, can you imagine if you were a person who was watched by 40 million people every
insane,
night?
right?
I mean, nothing has that power.
It's so fragmented nowadays that it's hard for one person to.
So I started my career at a time when that was just starting to. It was starting to be a little less powerful. It was fading. It was definitely fading, but he was still there, and he came in the room, and you just thought, wow, Beyonce just walked in the room. Like, this is incredible, So I can't lose that.